If you have chronic fatigue and adrenal exhaustion, you want to nourish the adrenals. And there's a lot of things called adaptogens. And these are supplements I recommend to pretty much everybody as a staple for the rest of our lives, because there is not really anyone that I know that is without stress in their lives. And I don't care who you are, but it's really not just the amount of stress, it's how we're responding to it. Then there's chemical exposure to stress. What we're eating is stress. Our body is inhaling stress. We're not getting enough sleep is stress. We have kids, that's stress. It's good stress. It could be you stress, which is great stress, like getting married. But we have so much stress today, and we're being asked to do so much. We're asking our body so many demands, extra demands in the body, that we really need to nourish our adrenals so that we can cope with the other demands of our lives. Like exercise, that's good stress, but then we have to recover from it. And I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm really sore all the time after my workout." Well, it's because your body's not recovering very well, because your adrenals are probably shot. So you want to remove stress, or at least reduce stress, or how you handle the stress, and nourish your adrenals and remove the sources of stress from the body, so you know which things are your stressors. If you guys have any questions about adaptogens and how to get them, I can get you guys a discount on that too. Again, I'm not pushing supplements, but these are things that help a lot of my clients with their energy levels much better than caffeine, which actually will inspire things like metabolic syndrome, aka diabetes, and cause estrogen dominance, and hence waist, a larger waistline. So let me go back up to thyroid real quick, and then we'll be done, and I'll open it up to questions. So this is another test that I looked at, where I saw another example of somebody who had leptin resistance. That's another hormone where, if our body has leptin resistance, our stomach could be text messaging our brain. Basically, leptin is released by the fat cells. The fat cells receives communication from the stomach that there's enough food. We've eaten enough food. But if that system isn't working properly, or leptin is being released, but the brain isn't recognizing it, it could be released all day long, but that leptin is leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. It's the leave it hormone, as in leave it, don't eat more food. So this one particular client I worked with was very leptin resistant. All we did was we fixed her system so her body was able to listen to the communication that her hormones were telling her brain. And her body was like, whoa, I'm eating like half as much, because my stomach and my fat cells are now communicating with my brain. There's less chemical interference. So it's like when you go to a concert and there's a bunch of people there, and you're trying to send a text message and you're like, my text messages aren't going through. Well, that's really frustrating. That's what's happening when you have hormones that may be released, but there's interference, and they can't get sent to the brain, so the body doesn't act on them. So this is another one where I found that this person was diabetic, didn't know it, and also had leptin resistance. So she was eating everything in sight, and then we fixed that. So that was another thing to be cognizant of in your body. Okay, last thing, insulin. This is if you have a lot of insulin issues in the body, and again, like I said, I bring this up because I see so many women having issues with this, and metabolic syndrome is the number one most common and number one growing disease now. In fact, 1 in 3 kids today are expected to have metabolic syndrome and diabetes, and injecting insulin in their stomach by the time they're in high school. It's a very, very serious topic, because we are just eating crap, and carbohydrates aren't being shoveled into our cells for fuel. They're, again, being stored in our fat cells, causing high triglycerides and all of these other things. You have testosterone dominance in women, which could cause the PCOS, which is controllable, absolutely. High estrogen in men, which causes man boobs. And so you've got the whole host of issues that you've got with high estrogen in men. You might have more emotional guys, um, or guys who just can't lose weight. And this is where administering extra hormones, if you have issues with insulin and you just give your body extra hormones, in women, it's going to convert estrogen to testosterone and give you higher odds of ovarian cancer. In men, you can give them hormones, testosterone, but it will convert testosterone into estrogen, and then they get man boobs and a larger waistline. So these are a lot of issues that people don't think about before they just start throwing hormones at stuff. Same thing happens with estrogen. With all these hormone pills women are taking for birth control, we take the estrogen, and if we have insulin resistance, which 1 out of 2 of us is on our way to, a lot of us have it now, that estrogen gets converted to testosterone, and PCOS is one of the most rising conditions that I see in women. And that also, of course, leads to infertility and all sorts of other issues like rogue hairs and oily skin and hair falling out and can't lose weight and all sorts of other things. I see this a lot. So also it clogs at the liver, causes higher cholesterol. We can't emulsify fats very well, make hormones, up and down neurotransmitters. So we're in a funky mood all the time. We're either anxious or depressed or both. Increased oxidative stress, which means a lot of bad guys, a lot of free radicals in the system, which damages the DNA, and it's not anti-aging because your body is diminishing and depreciating sooner. increases your blood pressure. So I see a lot of people on blood pressure medication these days. That's also controllable through insulin balance and then increased inflammation. Inflammation can look like fat. So if we're more inflamed, it makes us look like we're just more round and our face just looks more puffy like mine used to. So we want to calm inflammation in the body, get insulin levels balanced, and everything starts to operate on its own.